I'd like to take a moment and thank you for joining me in another episode. This is The Cost of Getting Involved. My name is Justin Payne. Thank you for being here with me. Now, before we get into this, I want to make something very clear that this is not a vigilante handbook by any means. This is a reality check, a look behind the curtain at what actually happens when you decide to get involved into matters that often seem simple on the surface, but are anything but. Yes, you can do good and help protect someone or aid police in catching predators. But what you also risk, and what many don't see, is getting pulled into the web of the legal, emotional, and personal consequences that can be devastating. Now, this episode is more focused on the consequences and the real costs, because you need to know what you're stepping into. Child pornography laws under Section 163-1 of the Canadian Criminal Code are broad and very strict. This covers the depiction of anybody under the age of 18 involved in a sexual activity. This could include photos, videos, drawings, or something even written or digital content. Okay, so imagine this scenario. You're an adult and you're acting as a decoy, changing your voice, your persona, and your age online to engage with a suspected predator. During a correspondence, let's say the suspect sends you images or videos that you might glance at and verify what they are. Then you'll save them and share them with law enforcement later. But let's be clear, we're not investigators and we're not police, and we don't have that kind of immunity like they do. So here's the catch. Possession of material, even momentarily or for evidence, is still illegal. Law enforcement treats possession as a crime regardless of your intention or your role. Now, if your devices are seized, you could be investigated or even charged. Even the act of saving or storing such files, even if for a moment, even just a sent to law enforcement, can lead to criminal charges set forth against you. This kind of situation has happened to many vigilantes and even some law enforcement officers acting outside of procedure. And in some situations, some content isn't always obvious. For example, written stories or digital art depicting minors in sexual context can fall under this law. Without legal guidance or court authorization, possessing or distributing such material can put you at risk. This is not a fucking game. Your role as decoy or good Samaritan doesn't protect you legally. Your best approach is working closely with authorities and knowing the law. This is absolutely critical. The law around luring a child under Section 172-1 criminalizes communicating with a person under 18 to facilitate a sexual activity. And yes, the goal is clear. Protect children from exploitation. The legal reality is more complex. Since the child is fictional, you're not literally luring a child. However, your messages could be seen as encouraging or facilitating a legal act. For example, if you ask questions like, where do you want to meet, or what are you expecting? Now, here's one that not a lot of people know, is that your messages might be interpreted as helping the predator plan the offense, even if your intention was just to gather evidence. While charges for luring vigilantes are rare, courts take these cases very seriously. Your communications could trigger investigations for attempting to facilitate sexual offenses, which carry severe penalties. This kind of situation, and many just like it, highlight the razor-thin line that you walk. Without proper legal oversight, your actions, even when they're meant to expose crime, can land you in legal trouble. Here's a crucial point that many overlook. If the person that you're investigating is already under police surveillance, interfering could seriously jeopardize investigation. For example, if police are quietly monitoring a suspect and you suddenly confront them or share evidence prematurely, you might disrupt months of work or even years. You could tip off the suspect or cause crucial evidence to be lost. Now, in legal terms, interfering with an active investigation can be seen as obstruction of justice, which is a criminal offense. You could possibly be charged with hindering police work, even if you think you're helping. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to give you the knowledge that you desperately will need. The takeaway, acting independently without communication or coordination with law enforcement can backfire in ways that you never imagined. Another serious risk is destruction or deletion of evidence. Suppose you're collecting messages, photos, or video, but you delete them because the investigation didn't pan out, or you didn't want to be implicated into the situation, or for whatever reason, you changed your mind and you didn't want to go through with it. Even if your intention was to protect yourself, deleting or tampering with evidence can be considered as obstruction of justice under Canadian law. Obstruction includes any act that misleads or interferes with the administration of justice, from hiding files to deleting conversation or refusing to cooperate with police. And I know, you're probably sitting there and you're probably saying to yourself, well, a lot of these I just wouldn't even have imagined. Well, that's why we have this channel now. And again, this is not a vigilante handbook. This is a way so that you can think twice and have a reality check. This kind of work is definitely not for everybody. Charges of obstruction carry heavy penalties, and even the suspicion of this behavior can damage your credibility and legal standing. I can guarantee you that law enforcement won't look at you the same way. So basically, keeping or deleting evidence without legal advice is very dangerous. Beyond those, there are many other legal traps for those who get involved without proper caution. Here's one that I can guarantee you that you may come across: uttering threats. Section 264-1. In moments of frustration or confrontation, you might say something threatened, even unintentionally. Harassment. Section 264. Repeatedly contacting, messaging, or following somebody, whether online or offline, to expose their wrongdoing can be seen as harassment. Mischief. Section 430. Entering somebody's property without permission, damaging locks, or interfering with their belongings to gather evidence is illegal, regardless of your motive, obviously. Defamation. This is a civil law. Publishing names, photos, or accusations publicly without proof can lead to lawsuits. But here's the thing. Your interpretation of the evidence that you have may not be to the standing of what you say online or to other people, so this could most definitely be seen as something like defamation or something. Sharing what you believe or you think is true is not a legal defense without evidence or court backing. Failure to comply with peace bond, Section 810. Ignoring court orders to stay away from somebody can result in criminal charges set forth against you. Public mischief, Section 140. Making false or exaggerated reports that waste police resources, and this is a criminal offense as well. I'm going to give you a real-world example, but I can't give you any names, so you're going to have to Google it. A vigilante broke a suspect's door lock to retrieve evidence and was charged with mischief. The law does not excuse illegal actions, even if you have the best intentions. That doesn't mean shit. So you're probably sitting there and asking yourself, well, how do these situations arise? You collect screenshots, videos, messages, and if anything is illegal in your possession, police can seize your devices and then they will investigate you. Sometimes when you're going into these situations of these confrontational interviews, you think you have it all together. Sometimes things fall apart. Heated conversations can escalate into threats or harassment charges, because you're acting outside of official channels. The line between helper and suspect is razor thin. If I could give you any advice in this world, if you're unsure or you don't know something, get a lawyer. Without legal guidance, you can risk becoming the one under investigation. But here's the thing. You might get started, you might have some luck, and you might go a month, a year, or so. There will be bumps along the way. Getting involved isn't as glamorous as it might seem. It's complicated, it's risky, and I will guarantee you it is lonely. You have to know the law, respect procedure, and understand the real cost, not just emotionally, but legally and personally, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is the cost of getting involved. My name is Justin Payne. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this video. I look forward to the next one. Until next time, stay safe.